Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to interview our guest today, the amazing Heather Hoffman from Pink Fresh Studio. Welcome, Heather.
Hi, thank you.
We're so excited you could join us and that folks can get to ask questions if they have some before this amazing event that's coming up and get to know the instructors a little bit better. I did put the link to this event in the Alt News shop. So if you want to check that out, head on over to the link. It's only open for until the end of next week with the last interview. We opened it specifically so you could do it after meeting all of the wonderful instructors that we have. Speaking of that, Heather, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Heather Hoffman. I'm the creative director at Pink Fresh Studio. Bridget and I were just kind of chatting about how that just kind of is like the big umbrella title because we had to think of something to put under my name, I guess. So I just kind of wear a lot of hats. I manage the design team. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, kind of the boring spreadsheets and adding stuff into the store for the new releases, some fun new things, testing new products and new stamps, proofreading. Leah and I laugh that we're both the picky ones behind the scenes, making sure everything's perfect. And so, yeah, that's kind of what my job is for the most part and what I get to do, other than just obviously making cards with new releases and doing live classes and that kind of thing. So,
and do you have any pets?
Actually, I don't. I grew up on a farm with lots of like 30 cats and dogs and goats and sheep and the whole thing. And I think we had a cat for a little while. We had fish. We had guinea pigs. We had 2 dogs briefly, but they were puppies, and it just ended up being too stressful in our family the way things worked. But kids are grown, and we like to travel a lot, so we're just kind of at a spot where we'll occasionally dog sit for family or something like that. But we just kind of have the freedom to hop and go, and yeah. So actually, no.
It's almost like having grandchildren where you get to borrow somebody's pet, you get to love on them, snuggle them, but you don't have to worry about vet bills. You don't have to worry about anything. You just, it's like the joy of having grandchildren. It's just.
That's why I tell everyone it's better than having your own because I can borrow them and do it. And then I can send them home when I've had enough.
Where's your favorite place to travel since you mentioned travel? Do you have a favorite destination?
I feel like one of the favorite places I've gone to, it was in 2019. So before COVID kind of changed everything, but I went to Italy with a friend. And that was like dream trip. It was my first, that year was the first time I went anywhere out of like US, Canada had been the only other country I'd been to because we live really close to the Canadian border. So that was like the crazy year of travel, and I fell in love, and I would love to go back someday.
Yeah, I'm close to the Canadian border on the other side.
Yes.
So I'm like an hour and a half from the Canadian border on the other
Almost
side.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And ironically, my son is taking me to Italy for my 50th birthday. So that will be my first big trip out anywhere. Besides, I don't count Canada because Canada is so close to us.
I know.
It just feels part of us,
Yep.
So.
Yep. Same. We always joke about the same thing here. Like, we grew up going to Canada to buy, tea and stuff or whatever, a day trip.
Yes. And the poutine. The poutine is delicious.
Yep.
How did you get into crafting?
So I grew up, my mom was really crafty. She painted and sewed and cards, like pretty much anything that could be done, you name it, and she did it. And ironically, the really funny thing, like I grew up sewing my own clothes and making quilts and doing, all the other things. And I remember once or twice we went to like Stampin' Up parties, and I just get overwhelmed because there was so much. And I remember being like, I can't do cards. I can't do cards. And then fast forward to being an adult, and my kids were little, and I was scrapbooking, and my mom saw on like a TV info ad a Cricut machine, and she thought that would be helpful for me for my scrapbooking. And so she got it as a gift, which then got me onto the Cricut boards. And then I discovered challenges, and I started entering the card ones and winning stuff. And then I started realizing card making was really fun. I always say scrapbooking is kind of like dishes and laundry. You're never done. It's fun, but you're never done. Where a card, you can sit down, start to finish, and done, and clean up, put it away, and you're done with one thing. So that's kind of what got me into card making.
I love the analogy. That is hilarious, because it is, you have to print the photo. The photo is my out. Like, I'm like, no, like I have a little mini printer too. Like I have all the gadgets. I just can't manage to print that little photo.
Right. It's like laundry. You can get it done, but folded and put away. When they invent a machine that does that.
Yes, please let me know. Please put me on the first on the list to let me know, because that would be
right.
But I think it's like Christina mentioned the other day. I think most of us came in through Cricut, through Stampin' Up. Those were the big companies in the beginning that got us kind of in there. And those challenge boards, oh, I remember those. Oh, goodness. Those were so fun, but you wanted to do them all. Like you wanted to do every single one.
Especially when you win something, then you want to do them even more.
And it's funny, a lot of us that are card makers now are like, no, card making, no. I was a scrapbooker, and then, it's, you go from such a large surface to a smaller surface. Like, I can't do that. And then now we're all card makers, and scrapbooking, like you said, is like dishes. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where do you find your inspiration when you're making your beautiful cards?
It's really everywhere. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly, if I'm out in town, I'll see a shirt and I'll be like, oh, that's really pretty. I need to remember that color combo. Or, you look at the sunset, or you're outdoors doing something, or, you're at someone's house and something home decor. Pinterest, of course, like that one's the default. Scrolling Instagram, like I try not to copy anything, but sometimes it's kind of an amalgam of I see a color combo, and then I see a layout, and then I see, different things that all go together. And then sometimes it's just the product. When you get it in your hands, it's like, it just screams that it needs to do something.
And hello to everybody. Bruce was wondering what province you were near.
I'm near British Columbia. I'm up in the very northwest corner of Washington State. So,
Annette, I'm sorry, she's using her husband's. Annette is in Alberta, so she was wondering what province. So yeah, so I'm New Brunswick, and yep, we're flip sides of the country.
Alberta's beautiful. I've been to Alberta. When I was a kid, we did a few camping trips up through Canada and all around in both of those provinces, and loved it.
I love Alberta Bound by Gordon Lightfoot. I don't know if that counts. I haven't been to Alberta yet, but I love the song. So you're talking about seeing like combinations out there. Now, do you stick to kind of traditional colors, or are you just the rainbows going on the card? It doesn't matter.
I like both. Sometimes I really like traditional, but I also really love like Leah and I both in our classes, we get a lot of comments about that on like our florals, that sometimes we'll pick that non-traditional, like maybe you won't see brown or aqua or blue leaves in nature, but you can make them on your cards, and you have that freedom to do that and just get a completely different look, or monochromatic, or like I said, sometimes mixing two different colors of ink on one flower, and just getting that different. So I kind of feel like it's not one I just love the variety and not getting stuck in a rut and playing with different things, different options. So
how do you avoid getting stuck in a rut?
Sometimes, usually what I try and do when I'm really when you're banging up against a deadline, you've got something you got to get done. Sometimes you just have to step away. And for me, that's usually good motivation to go do something else that I don't want to do, but I don't have to think about, like cleaning the house or laundry or, something like that. Because then coming back to card making, it's like, whew, now I'm so happy to be back here.
I'm refreshed. I'm in my happy place now.
Yeah. And it just, I guess it gives that brain you get spinning on one thing and you just can't get past it. So kind of unplugging really helps. So
And I think that happens to a lot of folks. It's just you get overwhelmed with the possibilities sometimes. It's too much
Mhm.
is moving around. And yeah, if you unplug, reset, and I always
Yeah.
think of it like an etch a sketch, like shake, 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 like
Yeah.
you're good to go again.
Or go for a walk. Go for a walk's another great one. Get some fresh air. I love that too. So just kind
That's
of
yeah.
seeing it.
And it's good weather now where I am. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Wendy's in Quebec. I have been to Quebec City. Beautiful, beautiful place.
Yes.
And
I've actually been to Quebec City too when I was, it's many years ago. So let's see, about 20 some years ago. So it's been a while. It's when I was pregnant with my oldest, and I ended up visiting in the middle of winter. So it was really cold and icy. That's really what I remember, but it was fun.
we went in July for a music festival, and it was just beautiful. It
That would
was
probably be warmer.
absolutely stunning city.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back. It's absolutely gorgeous. Very, very, very pretty. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for posting where you're from. Make sure if you have any questions for Heather, you pop them in the chat, or if you have any questions about the event that is coming up, we're all excited to talk about that. So, what is about this class do you feel is can't be missed? Why can't people miss this class?
Part of what I love about live online classes is just how we can all connect. Like, I love that. It's like the best thing that came out of COVID and all of the lockdowns and everything was the ability to do all of this, and everyone can be in their own home. It's not as expensive as having to travel. I mean, it's fun to meet in person, and I enjoy those, but being able to just connect from our own homes and feel like we're all kind of coming together from, and then um, I know, like, those of us who are teachers and instructors, we work really hard to try and, like, for me personally, I don't want to sit and watch a class that's just like lick and stick and put things together. I want to learn something and I want to come away with something. And I even feel like, even though we're the instructors, I always feel like someone throws an idea in the chat or the comments when you're doing it that's always like, I never even thought about that. So I always feel like I have takeaways and I learn things, even though I'm the one teaching. So I just love the connection of with everybody and playing with beautiful things and making, doing what we all love and doing it together.
It is. It's an amazing connection, and it is like our participants, like the tips they throw out are like, why didn't I think of that? And it
Right.
is it's a sharing environment, and you learn whether you're a new crafter or you're an
Mhm.
advanced crafter. There's something for everybody in the mix, because there's always a tip or trick that maybe you've
Yeah.
been doing it this way for years and then it switches over. So
Yeah.
um now, techniques. What is your passion at the moment for a technique?
Let's see. Can I pick two? I feel like I kind of have
Yes, you
two
can.
that okay.
With Miriam, we stretched it. Hers, yeah, I'll tell you hers after you say yours, but she
Okay.
did two as well. But they do
Okay.
coordinate, so that's why
Well,
we gave you one.
that's what I feel like mine do too. It's hot foiling and then ink blending, especially layering stencils. And when you put those two together, I feel like it's just magical and you get such a beautiful finished project, but such minimal work. Like, I'm not the world's best colorist. I can do it if I need to, but layering stencils just have upped that game so well that there's not that stress of coloring and markers and water. I, like I said, sometimes I still do enjoy doing those, but layering stencils any day, and then hot foil, just that shine and that magic of that.
That is, it's like, because and I enjoy the hot foil a little more than the heat embossing, because the heat gun's hot in the summer and the hot
Yeah.
foil doesn't put off the heat, but you still get that beautiful shine. And yeah, the
Yeah.
stencils, you can, like, it feels like you can touch it.
Yeah.
Wendy said the same thing. She said hot foil and layering stencils for
Yep.
her too. Let us know in the chat, you guys, what you would pick. Mariam was die cutting and ink blending. So you guys were close. You had
Okay.
one of the same. I
Yeah.
know. How did we live without layering stencils? I don't know.
I'm so
Oh,
spoiled now.
we are, and they just keep getting better. Like, they just keep, I don't know how, but they just keep getting better.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on this, but Shay wanted to know, Heather, what do you do to get out of a creative funk?
So, other than just the things we talked about, I think sometimes when I'm just looking, one other thing that I didn't mention that probably fits, other than, scrolling and looking for inspiration, sometimes I'll go look back at my old stuff and try and remake it with newer products. So, that's another great one. If you find a card that you made, a while back, maybe you really love, or maybe you love part of it and you wish you'd done something different, then it's a good time to kind of go and remake it and pull out something fresh and um, just use something different to make it. Or sometimes pulling out something really old that I haven't touched for a long time. Sometimes it's really fun to do that and just, because it's always the new and the latest and greatest. And sometimes it's good to remember those ones we really loved and that kind of got pushed back in the box and out of the way. So
It's fun to shelf your stash some days to go in and see things you loved, when they came out. You're like, I will use this every day. And then, it shuffles
right.
off a little bit, and then it's fun to bring those back. And you are so welcome, Shay. Thank you so much for asking the question. We appreciate all the questions that you guys have coming in. So right now, what's your go-to technique that never seems to fail you? It always is the old reliable.
Well, other than like hot foiling and ink blending, one other thing I really love to do is layer things up. So whether it's die cut elements or pattern paper, or even just like layers, like one of the cards I'm doing for the live class for this event, I love to layer up different sizes of white cardstock as just kind of an interest. And it keeps everything, it still keeps it from getting too busy, but it just adds some interest and some texture. So, and it's a great way to use up all those scraps and everything. So I guess layering and dimension is, you can't go wrong with that.
Oh, we love dimension. Dimension's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a Facebook group for this class. And the great thing about the Facebook group is you can ask instructors. So say you take the class and you're working on your card and something just isn't working out right for you. You can post it in there. And not only will the community help you, the community is super helpful, but the instructors are also in there. So, Heather could say, oh, this is what I'm seeing. Maybe this is what's not working for you. Or you can show your cards, because let me tell you, nothing makes the instructors happier than seeing your projects
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
end of it. I know when I teach, I want to start the class. And I'm like, okay, show me your projects. We haven't done it yet, but I want to see the projects because they're so exciting.
And I always love to see what everyone did different, if they, mixed up the colors or the layout or something like that, just seeing everyone's own twist on it. Because I feel like I'm a little of a rebel like that. If I took a class, I'd be like, I'm going to make it my own.
And then it's cool too, because then you're inspired when you're creating by stuff that other folks did in the class.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful experience in community. The kits will be shipping. Ultimately, we are shipping, I believe, in early to mid-October, so about a month before, month 3 to 4 weeks out. So we'll be shipping out the kits for us. Do you have any other hobbies besides that you're currently doing besides card making?
So a new one that I've just picked up in the last several months, and I know it's a crafting, but is embroidery. And for some reason, I've just fallen in love with. I grew up I did counted cross stitch, but I never did embroidery. And I actually just grabbed a Pink Fresh flower stamp recently and just did my own on it. And I love it because I've been buying some kits and I just did embroidery on that. And it's like, oh, just magic. So that's kind of my newest, really new hobby.
That'll be fun to see. That's exciting. Yeah. I love when you combine things that you hadn't really combined before and it comes out like stunning. It's just exciting.
Yeah. It just stretches those supplies a little bit more for a different avenue as well, which is kind of fun. So,
and these Annette had asked, what happens if you can't attend one of these days? These are recorded. You have them forever. So these will be uploaded usually the Monday following, because they don't work on the weekends, but they'll be uploaded then, and you have them forever. You will have the recorded classes will be available the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then we have 2 live sessions. We have Heather and we have Maryam. So Heather is going to be on Friday. Maryam's going to be on Sunday, which is very exciting to have 2 live sessions. And all of those are recorded. So if you have to travel or work or something happens, don't worry. You have those. You have access. You can watch them. And then the Facebook group stays open after the class as well. So you have that as another resource.
And that's always great to know, especially if you're trying to craft along, that's my biggest advice in live classes is don't stress about keeping up. Just enjoy the process. And if you get behind, don't worry about it, because you can always catch it up. You can watch those as many times as you need to. And
yep. And that's the great thing is they're yours. They're there. They're not going anywhere. And the other thing too, I recommend is if you see something in the PDF that you can prepare ahead of time and you think you're a slower crafter, just, if there's an embossing piece that they're going to do in the class, you're like, oh, I'll emboss that so I can have a little bit more time to do the blending or something. So that's another way as well. When you are designing your cards, so is it the technique that comes, or is it kind of a layout that speaks to you first?
It kind of depends on what I'm doing. I kind of laugh because we do with Pink Fresh, we do weekly just YouTube lives.
Yeah.
And I don't, when I first started doing those, I'd make my card in advance so I knew what I was going to do and do it. And for bigger events, we obviously do that because we have the photos and everything. But anymore, it's like I just kind of start laying stuff out and I build a picture in my head of what I'm going to do. And sometimes it turns out that way, and sometimes it doesn't. But usually it turns out better than I expect. And I always tell everyone it's the magic of like doing it. Like it seems like it should be really scary, but it's kind of the magic of, and then someone will speak up and be like, oh, you should put this here or do this color, you know, or something. And so that whole collaborative fun that, so it kind of depends what it is. Sometimes you see a set and it just, like I said, there's just something that you're like, I have to do this with it, or there's something out of the box. And sometimes it's like, sometimes I'll get a whole release and I'll just start like ink blending and die cutting and just laying out all the pieces. And then they just kind of all start walking together on the desk. So
I love that. I'm going to try that. I like the walking together. That's a good trick.
like a cartoon, right? I mean, I wish that they did it on their own. I have to help them a little.
It would be a good crafty cartoon, just the pieces kind of, marching together, so to speak, all layer up. So what do you do for, what do you have for a technique that you're really working on kind of personally?
So I feel like one thing I enjoy it. I have a long way to learn and go is watercolor. I feel like that's something that, and it takes time to be able to just sit down and relax. And when I do it, I really love playing with it. And I don't feel like I'm that great, but I'm also, just like I tell everyone else, just enjoy the process and doing it. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the expert on your first one or the 10th or the 20th or the 50th. It just, that progress keeps coming. So that's something I feel like I can learn a lot from other people on.
I think watercolor too I think you're always learning. Like there's so many tips and tricks and ways to do things and different mediums in watercolor.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, but it's a very soothing technique, I think, for a lot of folks out there.
Yeah.
Cindy would like to know, do you have any tips for layering? So is that layering stencils, Cindy, or is that layering dies? Or I'm going to assume stencils because we were talking about stencils, but
or it might have been that I was talking about layers on cards.
Could have been too. So yeah, Cindy, let us know what are we layering, stencils or cards, and we'll get that question answered for you.
Yeah.
And let's see, do you have a favorite color combination that you just are like, I have to get away from it because I use it?
I don't know if there's one I have to get away from. Leah and I at Pink Fresh, we joke a lot about our love for coral reef and aqua.
Yeah.
Like the aqua tones, the ocean breeze. So,
yeah.
But I don't really want to give it up. So, but I love discovering new color combos, and we also have brand new inks coming out. So I'm excited. There's a few of those. Yeah, that's going to be this month. And we've been working on this for like over a year. It's just been the long, slow process. So I'm super excited to play with all those. And I already have an idea of what my favorites will be. I'm just waiting to get them in my hands to start playing with them. So
it's going to be hard. That coral reef, that's going to be hard because when I reach my Pink Fresh inks, that's the one, man, I can't not reach. I love that. It's such a beautiful color. It is gorgeous. Yeah. So it was layering pieces together. Don't give up coral reef and aqua.
Coral reef and aqua forever. That's what we always say. That's like, could be a hashtag. So Cindy, if you're meaning like layering pieces, so like if I'm layering cardstock or pattern paper, one thing I really love to do, because you don't want to put foam adhesive between every layer or you'll end up with a card that's like a book. So a lot of times I'll kind of just like curl up the edges a little bit, kind of, and actually we'll do that with die cut florals and stuff. And then maybe adhere the center or that paper down with a tape runner or liquid glue. And it gives that illusion of more dimension without having to pile on, not that I don't love foam adhesive and layers that way, but when you're putting a bunch, that's a great way to kind of build up that dimension. And we kind of call it floofing the flowers and the greenery and the leaves. And
that's what I call my cat, Little Miss Floof.
Oh, there you go.
She's very fluffy.
There you go. It's the perfect word, isn't it?
So hopefully, and Cindy, if that wasn't what you were looking for, just let us know. We're happy to expand on that even more. So this question, and we're going to do top 3. What are your top 3 tools that you have to have with you now?
Okay. So I've been thinking about that one. I feel like she said I could group together ink blending
Yes.
brushes and inks. So like
Yes.
the supplies for ink blending, um, die cut machine for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Man, probably then foam adhesive would be like the final for dimension. I mean, there's a million and one. Oh, or if I was going to trade that out, probably a Misty stamping positioner. That would probably be the final one, because I don't know how we stamped back in the day with just clear blocks and no other options.
It was interesting.
I mean, we did it, but now that we know better.
Now we're spoiled.
Yes,
We have things that we just put it down and you can repetitively just go. Now,
right.
do you make a lot of like, do you mass produce, or are you more a single card kind of creator?
I really love making sets of cards, for like clean ones. I find myself doing a lot of that. Like if I'm going to make something and I really like a design, I could make 3 or 4 or 5 of them. More like general purpose, like if it's birthday cards, like it's really hard to keep up on birthday cards, or thank you cards, or just like a general hello kind of, or some of the harder ones to make, like sympathy cards. If you're going to sit down and do them, it's better I'd rather have them on hand and not need to make them when I need them. So I do like, but I also really love just one-offs. I'm probably not going to sit and make 50 of one card. And even the
I,
sets, it's like the colors will be mixed up or something to make them a little different. So
now, do you like, I know you make a lot, for your job, but if you're making it
yeah.
for somebody, do you like customize your colors to kind of like what they like and stuff like that? Do you personalize them?
Yeah, I mean, like my daughters, I probably do that, or family members and stuff like that. And most of the time I don't think of those until really last minute. So I probably don't as much as I should, because it's kind of like, oh, that's birthday parties in an hour. And
I
but
gotta get
usually I
my
have stuff
stencils
on
and
hand.
half foil out and we gotta go.
Right. Yep.
That is a very quick technique. You just need, like 6 or 7 minutes for it to warm up, another 10 for ink blending and you're good to go. Like,
And it's gonna look amazing. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it is. Oh, yes. So they're talking about stamping with the
Wood
wood
blocks.
blocks. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had to have the stamp-a-majig so that you could, line it up. And so if you had to stamp twice with that, you had to have that little acrylic
Mhm.
corner and little tool. Yeah, I still try to hand stamp, but do you try to hand stamp to keep up your hand stamping skills, or are you more the platform only?
Kind of depends like if it's like background building or something where you're not gonna, like small flower stamping a background that takes forever to reposition in the stamp positioner and you're only making one, or like a light color in the background where if it doesn't stamp perfect, yeah, a little bit, but not like the sentiment that's the last thing on a finished card that's gonna screw it up if it doesn't stamp right.
I did
No more
that
that.
the other day. I felt so like I was, when you stand like I did this.
There you go. Well, and then if I do, it's with a plan of, okay, I can redo it and put it in a strip and cover it if it doesn't work.
You can always
So,
cut it and put a block over it, put a little foam adhesive. Yeah.
yep,
You're good to go. It's okay. You can always fix it.
exactly.
If you guys, I have just one question left for Heather today. So if you guys have any more questions, please pop them in the chat. We would love to get to them. Don't forget to check out the link. My amazing behind the scenes will pop that link in there for you again. Audrey said the stamping platform has become a crutch. I can't go back. I think there's a lot of us. It's hard. I keep trying to because I don't want to lose the ability to hand stamp, but it's hard. It's very hard. It's so easy in the platform. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yep.
So the question is a fun or interesting fact that you would like to share about yourself that people may not know.
And I thought so long and hard on this, and it's like I can't really think of. I mean, there might be. I feel like I talk about it in lives, but I guess like the one quirky, weird thing that's I don't talk to very many people that don't like coffee, that like tea. I'm just a tea, and I've tried a million and one times to like coffee, and I just can't get behind it. Finally, I'm like, why am I gonna try and like something that isn't necessarily good for me, and I'm just gonna get addicted to? And so I finally just gave up and embraced loving tea. So that's kind of I don't know if that's weird and quirky enough, but
No, tea is delicious. What is your favorite tea? Do you have a favorite?
my very favorite that I drink almost every morning it's called Hot Cinnamon Spice. It's from Harney and Sons, and it's like just a black tea with cinnamon and orange, and super yummy.
Oh, yeah. And that just said any particular brand of tea.
Yep.
I think we have a lot of folks that and especially in the winter months, tea is just delightful. It's
Mhm.
it's comforting. It fits the
Yeah.
season. It's just wonderful. So, well,
Yep.
thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us today
Yeah.
and sharing. I hope you guys out there are as excited as we are. We cannot wait to have you guys come do this class with us. It's absolutely amazing. Everything is going to be so just beautiful. It's just, I don't have another
Yeah.
word. It's just beautiful. And the sets that you get in this class are extremely versatile. They will last you through. It's not something that is so unique to a class that you can't use it outside of it. These products you will use over and over again, and the extras that are in there are phenomenal. There are some word sheets that are foiled that are glittery and stunning and beautiful. So
Yep.
lots and lots of pretty things in there. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Heather, for taking the time to come
No.
join us today and have a little chat.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody, all of our wonderful, amazing folks that came and had a chat with us as well. From all of us at Altenew, thank you for allowing us to help you craft your life. And I'll let Heather say her.
Yeah,
If you
and thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to craft along with you and play. We're kind of excited to have this all come together, and I know November will be here before we know it.
Unfortunately, yeah, because the snow. The class very exciting, but the snow is coming with it.
But
So
cozy tea, cozy tea. We'll think
cozy
about
tea.
the good things.
You're gonna remember the coziness and the crafting.
Yes,
That's all
there
we
you go.
need. All right, you guys. I will see you guys again on Tuesday, where we have a lovely chat with the amazing Aram Tasneem. And on next Thursday, we will chat with the amazing Leah Lawson. So, very exciting. 2 more interviews to go, guys. And just that time period to sign up for this class, and then it will be closed and you won't be able to sign up for it again. So, make sure if you're signing up, you got to get within those dates. And we will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.